Hello and welcome to another standard video. Today we're checking out this updated version of the Kona combo deck, and this particular build is looking to destroy every single land the opponent controls by looping Extinguisher Battleship. This 8-mana spacecraft, when it enters, destroys target non-creature permanent, so it can target lands, and it also deals 4 damage to each creature, so it doubles up as a board wipe. Then it's not too difficult to station it, and then it turns into a 10/10 flying trampler, which isn't too bad either. So how do we get the battleship in play, and how do we start looping it to take out all of the opponent's lands? Well, it usually starts with Kona, a rescue beastie, with the survival mechanic, letting us put any permanent card from our hand onto the battlefield at the beginning of our second main phase, as long as Kona is tapped. But we don't even need to attack with Kona to tap it down. With the addition of the planets in Edge of Eternities, we now have all these lands that can easily let us tap a creature down to help station the land, even if we don't really care about their stationed abilities, just so we have a cheap way to tap down Kona, and then on turn 4, as long as we've already played those tap lands earlier in the game, we can immediately tap Kona down to then cheat and play Omniscience, this 10-mana enchantment, as we can cast spells from our hand without paying their mana costs, and at that point we just need a few card draw effects to string together everything else we need, and this deck is flush with card draw effects. We've got the Roiling Dragonstorm, which is also part of our combo, a 2-mana enchantment which lets us draw 2 and then discard a card, and whenever we play a dragon we can pick it back up. And we do have 4 dragons in this deck with a River Regent, which we could use as an instant speed draw 3 discard, but often we'll be interested in casting the 6-mana dragon, or maybe even putting it in play with Kona's ability if we don't have an Omniscience yet. And then the 6/7 flyer can return up to 2 other target non-land permanents to their owner's hands, so this can bounce opposing creatures back to buy ourselves more time to set up the combo, and it can also bounce additional copies of itself, in addition to maybe an Extinguisher Battleship that we managed to cast for free with Omniscience out. So as soon as we have Omniscience in play, we can play the Battleship, destroy an opposing land, deal 4 damage, and then play a Regent, picking up the Battleship so we can cast it once again, destroying a land. And then now with a second copy of the River Regent, we can bounce both Battleship and the initial Regent, so we essentially have a loop where we can keep replaying the Battleship over and over again, and even though we're dealing 4 damage to all our creatures, by picking up our Regent that's been dealt 4 damage, it's never gonna die. So that's the end game state we want to get to, and we can also get there by just looping our Roiling Dragonstorm a bunch. If we, let's say, have 2 River Regents and a Dragonstorm, now we can play the Dragonstorm to draw through the deck, and with double Regent bouncing each other, we can eventually draw whatever pieces we need, including the one-off Extinguisher Battleship. And then we've got some more card draw effects here to help assemble all the different combo pieces. The full set of Stock Up, this one's especially nice to play for free with Omniscience out, as well as consult the star charts. This one is not quite as exciting with Omniscience out, since we cannot pay the kicker cost for free, so we only get to look at the top X cards, where X is the number of lands we control, and select one of them, as opposed to being actual card advantage, but it can still help us find whatever combo pieces we need. Maybe it will find a Stock Up, a Dragonstorm, or a Regent, and from there we can generate additional card advantage. And then we also have a few counter spells. The full set of Dispelling Exhale also takes advantage of the 4 dragons in the deck to maybe counter a spell unless the opponent can pay 4, if we can reveal a dragon from our hand or have one in play. So that we can also maybe keep up at instant speed, so that also plays well with Consult, which we can also play at instant speed, or perhaps Lost in the Maze, playing the full playset here, and this is the main argument for going blue-green as opposed to also playing white for the additional 3-mana spacecraft, which can find Kona and also help tap it down. So that's of course a powerful combo, but we're not going to need it in this particular build, since Lost in Maze doubles up as interaction, as we can potentially tap opposing creatures down, put some stun counters on them, but we can also just use it as a 2-mana instant speed enchantment that can give our tapped creatures hexproof, which means that now if we have a Lost in Maze on the battlefield, we can immediately play Kona, tap it down to one of our planets, and before the opponent even gets a chance to cast an instant speed removal spell on Kona, it will already have hexproof, or we can also potentially play this in response to a removal spell to protect Kona. So then, unless they have something that makes us sacrifice a creature at instant speed, they will not be able to get rid of it. And if our opponent is playing counter spells, we can stop those as well with a full set of Cavern of Souls, usually naming Beast, can also occasionally name Dragon to make our river regions uncounterable. And then once we play our uncounterable Kona with Hexproof, we can put in Omniscience, which we're not casting, so they cannot counter that one either. And then once we have Omniscience in play, we might even be able to counter opposing spells for free at instant speed, so then it's going to be really tough for opponents to stop us. And then rounding out the deck, we've got some more interaction besides Lost in the Maze with 3 copies of Bounce Off, which can bounce a creature or vehicle. Pretty good against the Badger Mole Cub, since you can bounce the Earthbended land, so the opponent has to replay it and it won't tap for additional mana. And it's also a way for us to maybe bounce our own creatures. Could bounce our Kona in response to removal if we cannot give it hexproof, or we can even bounce our own regions just so we can replay it and maybe re-trigger our Dragonstorm to draw more cards. So if we're kind of mid-combo with Omniscience, it can also function as additional card draw in a roundabout way. And then the mana base, of course, we have 12 slots already taken up by the planets and Cavern of Souls, so that leaves a Willow Rush, a Verge, a Breeding Pool, and then 4 basic islands. So that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw. We do not have Kona, nor do we have Omniscience. But I can make sure we can tap Kona, make it uncounterable, give it a hexproof once we find another blue source. And with double stock up, we get to see a lot of cards, bounce off for cheap interaction. So I think there's enough going on here that I should try. Turn 1 Swamp. An early Deep Cavern Bat could be annoying, but they don't have it. So not in a hurry to consult with 2 lands in play, so I'll just play another tap land. Keep up Bounce Off. And yes, Slasher is the type of card that can be problematic. Currently cannot Lost in the Maze, so I think I have to Bounce Off now, otherwise next turn if they play the Bloodletter I would just be dead on turn 4. Now I get to play Stock Up. Could also name Dragon here since we're not worried about counter spells. And then look for another blue source, so at least I can Lost in the Maze. Found Kona. And probably need the land here. Over the card draw. Already have some in hand. So I'm just missing Omniscience. Lost in the Maze, giving Kona hexproof is also going to be pretty relevant. So for now, Slasher. Find Dragonstorm. So yeah, just gonna pass, and then see if they have the demon. They do, so this would be lethal if it weren't for Lost in the Maze. So can wait for the demon to resolve and then tap both down. Stun counter is also relevant. So I can go for Kona and then put in a Dragonstorm or even a River Regent. The only problem is, despite having hexproof, in my upkeep they could take out Kona before I get a chance to put in Omniscience. So I would much rather just find the Omniscience and make sure we just combo off cleanly. Which means for now I can kick Consult, which is less effective once Omniscience is in play. And that also digs the deepest. Annex is fine. And did not find the Omniscience, did find Exhale plus another Regent. Or do I just want a land now? Land might be better, so I can just cast a Regent, which buys me more time. Yeah, this might end up being a grindfest. Another Regent. So just playing a Regent now, bouncing their 2 creatures seems totally reasonable. Although I wish I had the Dragonstorm in play already. Could actually set up Kona, putting in Regent, and then I get to pick up the Dragonstorm. It's not actually a bad idea. Since I get to protect Kona with the Lost in the Maze, and I maybe find a replacement Kona anyways. So even if we're not putting in Omniscience, Kona still has its uses. Found Omniscience, so that helps. So then we should be in the clear. Play Kona. And before the opponent gets a chance to target it, I can tap it down. Immediately has hexproof. So they would need a very specific edict effect to stop us. At which point we would just lose the game. But yeah, Sheoldred's Edict's no longer in standard, so I can't think of too many cards they could have. Alright, so now we're off to the races, play Regents. Which they could destroy, but we have 2 more in hand, so that's okay. Send those packing. And yeah, they had to shoot the Sheriff. Cannot tap Regent at instant speed, also cannot cast another Regent at instant speed, so that's gonna happen. But now our opponent's tapped out, so we should easily be able to take over with double Regent and a Dragonstorm. We get to see our entire deck. And then we just want to find our big laser beam. So Regents can bounce Annex, bounce Lost in the Maze if I'd like. Replay Dragonstorm. Play another one. Don't need another Omniscience. Okay, play Regent. I guess I could also station here for what it's worth. I'm bouncing my own Regent and Kona, since I'm probably about to deal 4 to every creature. And there we go, we found it. Battleship to destroy all their lanes. So now we can just bounce these 2, don't need to worry about the Dragonstorm anymore. And one more. Could have been stationing more lanes in the meantime. Now I can station the battleship. I'll put a Kona out there. And I guess we can play another Regent. Alright, that seems good enough. Can counter their next 2 plays as well. That they get to maybe cast for 1 mana. But next turn we have lethal. So, yep. Opponent does not have a land, and an attack will do it. So yeah, once we find the battleship with a pair of Regents, the game ends pretty quickly thereafter. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have Kona, a Regent to enable Exhale. Just missing a station land and maybe Omniscience, so I'll keep. And then it would also help to find our Dragonstorm. But yeah, one thing at a time. For now, at least we can protect ourselves. Pollinators, so the blue-green Bantermole deck. Not in a hurry to consult. Probably gonna have to counter something. Innkeeper's Talent. That one I can let slide. That's not going to kill me very quickly. So now I could be convinced to consult. Although next turn I'm probably tapping out for Stock Up. Yeah, I mean, I still have Regent as a 4-mana card draw spell. And then Uthros to tap down Kona. Find another station land. So could stock up. Just looking for Omniscience at this point, although I still need to get my tap land in play. So I think what I'm gonna do is just go Evendo, pass, keep up Exhale, and then technically next turn, if I draw Omniscience, I could already combo off. Drineth is a little scarier. Sure, I'll counter, because they can follow it up with a 1-drop, which would be bad. So now at most they can play a 1-drop. I guess never mind, Pollinator can tap the talent, so they could still play a Cub. Which also would have been fine to counter, of course. Alright, found the Dragonstorm. I mean, the opponent's deck doesn't have much interaction either, so if I can just find Omniscience, maybe I can win next turn. Found Omniscience, and then another Regent. Don't need to show them Cavern of Souls yet. So yeah, Kona puts in Omniscience, which lets me go off with Dragonstorm and double Regent, so that should lock it up. So even if they cast their Ouroboros here, we can survive an attack. It's gonna be a second Cub. Mana aplenty, but not enough for lethal here. So Island taps for 3. And we would prefer if our opponent just taps out here. Quantum Riddler. Into Llanowar Elves, so they still have 3 mana up with a Pollinator technically. Although I can't think of much interaction that they could have. Like a Drowner can tap something down, but that doesn't matter. Can make Kona uncounterable by naming Beast or Survivor. Put in Omniscience. Play my free Dragonstorm. Also have a counterspell up now. Play the Regent. Regent can bounce a talent and another creature, pick up the Dragonstorm, rinse and repeat. Opponent actually had the counterspell as it turns out, but I can counter back, revealing that we have a second dragon in hand. So yeah, the Cavern actually mattered. So now we just want to find our big laser cannon, basically, to destroy all the opponent's permanents. Although we could also just bounce more stuff if we'd like. Play Regent. Can bounce their creatures back. And just keep digging. Found all 4 Dragonstorms, so it shouldn't take too long to find more of our win conditions. But yeah, opponent's gonna scoop it up already, since we can just beat them down with the Regents after bouncing all their stuff back. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand is reasonable, missing a planet, missing Omniscience, but we've got ways to protect Kona, ways to draw cards. Lost in the Maze can also double up as interaction, although might be a little slow at that. So tapped Sacred Foundry, could still be an aggro deck, but at least it didn't have a turn 1 play. Alright, seems to be more controlling. So then I'm very happy to have Lost in the Maze to protect Kona. Cavern can make it uncounterable. So that covers most bases. Clarion Conqueror, I see. Well, that does not stop us from using the planets to station, so I don't think that really stops me. Gonna flash this in now. And then maybe wait on Cavern. Although the damage could also matter, I guess. Play stock up. And then we found Omniscience and a planet, so that's pretty much what we needed. I might be a little light on card draw to make sure I can actually close out the game, but we already have a Consult in hand. So I think this still makes sense over taking the Dragonstorm. Right, now Hellkite can maybe set us back on mana. So it's possible they can destroy my Uthros and I wouldn't be able to combo with Kona. So then I might want to keep this as kind of a leftover. Because yeah, next turn I can still play Kona, play the planets and still combo. So doesn't seem like they have counter spells where Cavern would matter anyway. So then I can play this in case they play another Hellkite. Although I can also counter it now. So taking 7. Sarkhan is acceptable. Okay, so take 7. They could have a removal spell up, but because of Lost in the Maze it doesn't matter. I guess I could play another one on the off chance that they have, like, I don't know, Get Lost to destroy the enchantment plus somehow 3 damage at instant speed. I guess I could have the black Exhale and it just didn't find black mana. So that should cover most of my bases. Play Kona, immediately give it hexproof before the opponent gets priority. Put in Omniscience, which I guess their opponent could get lost, but then I can counter it. And then I do need this Consult to be effective. Cannot cast it with Kicker, unfortunately. Find another Consult. Because I really need to find, like, a stock up. I guess the Regent is still my best card here. I can either draw with a Regent, or I can cast it, bouncing 2 things to buy myself more time. I think I'm drawing. Found stock up, and another Regent, so that's what we needed. Now Dragonstorm, plus another Exhale. Could keep a extra Omniscience. Still gonna Dragonstorm first. Yeah, I don't think we're fizzling anymore at this point. So I can cast a Regent. Pick up double Dragonstorm. And bounce your dragons. And now it's just a matter of finding another Regent. So I can still Consult, find stock up, find stock up plus a land. And now Regent and Dragonstorm. Alright, let's see if we can find the giant laser beam here. We did. Okay, so now it should be trivial. Play the Battleship. Start destroying the opponent's lanes. Have a few counter spells in hand, so nothing can go wrong. And then we can keep bouncing our own Battleship, demolish all of the opponent's lanes, and simply attack with our Regents to get the game over with. Bounce off also a way to bounce our own creature, which is pretty useful. Pick up a Regent to re-trigger all the Dragonstorms, just in case. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be necessary. Also could be stationing Uthros to give it hexproof. But since stationing is only as a sorcery, our opponent could respond to the Regent entering and all those triggers happening, with instant speed removal. So if we didn't have the exhales, that would be a way for them to maybe slow us down. Alright, looks like our opponent may have disconnected. That's alright, so we get to do our thing. So region, bounce regent, and battleship. Pick up a million dragon storms, which at this point I don't really need. And before you know it, all the lanes are gone. There's other win conditions you could play, but this is a pretty fun one. And it's still a card that's sometimes useful as something we can put in play with Kona to potentially stabilize us. Gotta get rid of the treasure. And then now we can play the regents. Two of them is a 2-turn clock, so that's good enough. And the turn. And I still have 3 counter spells, so not much our opponent can do about it, even if they were still here. Alright, and that'll do it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have everything we need except maybe Kona and Omniscience, so actually still missing quite a few pieces. Also don't have any card draw, really. So I think this is a mulligan. This hand's very similar. So once again, got the same problems. Alright, this one I'll try. We're on the play, so I can maybe go without the bounce off. And then maybe Dragonstorm goes, because it's not as much card advantage as a stock up. Regent, I can also use the Omen. And I'm probably going to need it since we're still missing a lot of combo pieces. But of course it would make sense to keep the Dragonstorm and then try and hardcast Dragon as well. Opponent black-green, maybe Sultai Graveyard. Well, ended up finding the Dragonstorm, so that worked out. And we already have a planet. Alright, Bringer already in the graveyard, that's dangerous. For now I get to stock up. I guess I don't show them Cavern yet, since that could matter if they have some counter spells. Finding Consult for sure, and then I guess Exhale. Which could maybe counter a Kavera if they don't have their own Cavern of Souls. Awaken destroying Dragonstorm is actually relevant, since it's part of how we eventually close out the game. So I do not have Kona, but we did find Omniscience in the meantime. I get to pass and either kick, Consult, or maybe counter something. Scholar's fine. Yeah, we can even counter unless they pay 4. But yeah, their graveyard is getting pretty scary. So no Kona yet. I don't think I'll need Lost in the Maze, so probably go for land plus another Regent. So once I do get Omniscience down, I'll be able to just draw a bunch. So yeah, pass a turn. And either counter or draw 3 discard. Opponent's discarding a Scholar. To get back a land. Still no Cavern of Souls. Kivero, I imagine I have to counter here. Don't need to show them the dragon. But they might be able to go for it again next turn. Well, I can still potentially draw into another counter spell. As per Origins instead, that's acceptable. Take 2. Alright, so we have a bit of time here. And then I want to make sure to leave up double blue, just in case I draw into Lost in the Maze and want to cast it. Well, I found Lost in the Maze. I guess I can cast it. Could also leave it up for x equals 2 or 3 to tap some of their creatures down, because their win condition does appear to be Craterhoof Behemoth. So then stunning their creatures is a way of kind of interacting with them. And yeah, if I draw Kona right now, I can still flash this in. I found the Exhale, so at least I've got some security here. So I can once again pass a turn. Flashback as per Origins. I could still counter. It's probably my last chance to counter anything, to be honest. Because next turn they'll get a bunch of extra mana. So I won't be able to counter a Kavero with my Exhale. So I guess I'll counter now. Show them the dragon. Take 2. Still gonna draw this card. Found Kona. Alright, definitely want the extra Regent. Don't think I'll need the Omniscience number 2. Alright, I don't think we're fizzling here. Can flash in Lost in the Maze for hexproof if needed. Put in Omniscience. Start with a stock up, see if we can find some Dragon Storms. And then, yeah, with double Regent and Battleship, I guess we already have all the pieces we need to destroy all of the opponent's lanes. And it turns out that without lanes, it's difficult to play Magic. And not impossible, mind you. But in Standard, it would be pretty tricky. So as soon as I show them the second Regent, they might concede. Because we can bounce Regent, bounce Battleship, and rinse and repeat. And that'll do it. Sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand is just missing a land or two. We can Lost in the Maze. Still need to find an actual green source. And then Omniscience plus Regent, so it's got potential. The only issue is I don't have any cheap card draw to improve my hand. So if I don't draw the lands, I could be in a bit of trouble. Second Kona, not quite what I need. Opponent starting with turn 1 elves on the play, also the opposite of what we would like to see. Now Chocobos, it's more of a landfall deck. Lost in the Maze, if I can cast it for 1 or 2, could also slow them down. And our opponent's keeping up protection, probably Snakeskin Veil. So then I may as well just play Time Breeding Pool. And maybe next turn Lost in the Maze for 1. Mossborn Hydra, that's the real danger here. And our opponent, as we suspect, has a Snakeskin Veil in hand. So I don't think Lost in the Maze is really going to help me. So then I may as well stock up to try and find land 4, hope our opponent doesn't win the game next turn. It's not impossible, but they would need to have a pretty specific hand. So let's see if we can win on turn 4 ourselves. So we already have Omniscience, not going to need a backup. Did not actually find the untapped land, so that's concerning. I'll grab another Regent. And then do I settle for a tapped land? I don't see myself surviving 2 more turns, so I might just need to get lucky and draw the untapped land. Consult would dig a little bit deeper to make sure I don't fizzle if I actually draw the land. And then I even have to discard to hand size. They could also just Snakeskin Veil end of turn for the extra counter, which certainly matters when you start doubling it. They did not. Alright, so 2 things need to happen. First, our opponent can deal 17 damage. Second, I need to draw the untapped land. Alright, now they decide to Snakeskin Veil, so they maybe missed out on some mana. May or may not matter. Or Deal of Nylea, wow. Yeah, play this in some older builds, it's definitely all in. But when you've got backup and the Hydra, it certainly works out. So yeah, did not meet the first condition, sadly. And we die on turn 4. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a functional hand, I think. Got some interaction, some card draw, most of our combo just missing Omniscience. And then maybe could use some more card draw. Playing Uthros already kind of gives away that we are on either Kona or maybe the Artifact deck. Backup Kona can come in handy. Yeah, could exhale in case they play like a Deep Cavern Bat. Yeah, maybe I should be patient. Opponent had nothing. At this point I'll just wait, so maybe next turn I can Dragonstorm and still keep up Exhale. Okay, Phyrexian Arena seems like a good one to counter. So it is a more controlling deck. Cavern means I can go for Kona, put in Dragonstorm. Sure, why not? It's no Omniscience, but it's still getting some free value. And then a land can maybe go. I'll probably need a backup Kona. Betrayal will hit Kona. And they could still have more interaction up. Okay, so I'm not guaranteed to be able to put in Omniscience now, so I may need to find Lost in the Maze to protect Kona. And take it from there. Or I need my opponent to tap out. Which they may not, which is the downside of stock up over our Consult the Star charts here. But I could still hit a land and keep up Exhale. So I think it's still worth casting. I found Lost in the Maze and a land. So that's pretty much what I need, although I might miss out on another Dragonstorm potentially. Because again, I can put in Omniscience, but then I'm not winning the game yet. So I think I just take it slow. Now I could get maybe hit by a Deep Cavern Bat, which will disrupt me. Catramos I don't care about. Alright, so can't fully combo off yet, but I can Dragonstorm, and then maybe end of turn Lost in the Maze, and then combo with Hexproof next turn. Well, I can put in Omniscience. It doesn't mean that we win the game yet, since Don't have anything to do with the free cast, except now Battleship is kind of nice. Yeah, I guess it's worth going for. Kona into Omniscience, into Battleship, have double exhale up, and then hope to find more card draw later. Battleship destroy a lane, since Ketramos is indestructible. And then a River Regent would seal the deal here. So our opponent doesn't do anything. Even though I could keep in hand as more discard fodder for Dragonstorm. Fortress is gonna get busy. Could Lost in the Maze it. Alright, they had a Get Lost, but I can exhale. And we found the Regent, so that worked out. Just gonna cast it since we have the 2 Dragonstorms. So that should find something useful. Can bounce Battleship and Lost in the Maze. Return 2 Dragonstorms. Battleship, destroy a land. And yeah, opponent's gonna scoop it up here. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have Kona, no planet yet. Although possible I could even attack with it by clearing a path with bounce off. And then of course still need Omniscience, so need a few pieces, but I think there's enough here that I can keep. Ooh, opponent starting with a Leyline Axe. So the bounce spell's going to be useful. I don't think I need to necessarily keep it up on turn 1. On turn 3 I'll have a spare mana where I can maybe cast it. Paw Patch. Back up Kona. So for now, Dragonstorm. And the second exhale might not be necessary. Although, this also doesn't strike me like a deck that's going to remove Kona at instant speed. And I may need to counter spells. Turn 2 Cub. I found the planet, so now I'm just missing Omniscience. For now I think I just go tap planet, keep up exhale. But I probably want to wait to bounce until they equip the Leyline Axe. And of course bouncing the forest is also pretty good, since they would lose that mana. Scrap Shooter can counter that one. Yeah, that seems fine. The Dragonstorm would be useful to keep around. And drew Lost in the Maze. So I really just need Omniscience. I can play Kona, put in Lost in the Maze to protect it. That doesn't seem all that exciting. Could also Lost in the Maze just to tap the opponent's stuff down. They would get some Paw Patch triggers. So we have options. For now, name Beast. So I could stock up, look for Omniscience, although then I would also need to find more card draw to go with it. Maybe the Dragon. Let's just pass and see what happens. If they try and tap out for Ouroboros, I can counter it. Keen-Eyed Curator can exile stuff from graveyard, not super relevant. Also cannot exile it successfully. Opponent does equip the axe, but on a tapped creature. Okay. So now I guess we'll Lost in the Maze for 2. Could also keep the forest tab down actually with a stun counter. And then they need to spend the mana re-equipping the axe, perhaps. So they could put counters on the cub. Alright, so now I might have a window where I can stock up, look for more card draw and omniscience. Found omniscience and card draw. So we can pass with exhale and bounce off. And then next turn we should be in the clear. Curator could try to get enough types to get the +4 bonus. Sorcery instant creature. I guess it would need one more type. So they move the axe onto the Curator. That works. This would be a lethal attack, so if they have a hexproof trick, I'm actually just dead here, since I cannot bounce off and exhale. So yeah, gotta bounce and hope for the best. Curator's just gonna exile something on the way out. Alright. And now opponent's completely tapped out. So just need to not fizzle out. But the cool thing here with bounce off is that I can also bounce the Regent, which will give me more card draw with the Dragonstorm. So it makes me less likely to fizzle out completely. Could also pick up Lost in the Maze, but let's just bounce their stuff. Regent cannot bounce lanes, that's the one thing we cannot do with it. Alright, found our Battleship. That's what we wanted. So Battleship can go for Leyline Axe or Bouncing Say. The land dies. And now I can still bounce off the Regent. And replay it again as a creature as opposed to drawing, which is also an option. And then now bounce Battleship, bounce maybe Lost in the Maze. Or I could just bounce a Leyline Axe, and then Battleship can keep destroying lanes. So yeah, it's not a guaranteed kill, and we actually sort of fizzled out a little bit. Can still station. And have an exhale up with a dragon in play. So it's a pretty fast clock. Probably could have stationed Evendo in the meantime with a Regent. Badger Mole Cub doesn't kill me. And a recruit. Is this with Offspring? Yeah, I guess I'll fight over it. Another exhale is nice. So I can attack for 10, keep Regent back, attack for 10 again. It's probably the safest course of action. So yeah, even if you're not completely going infinite, destroying everything with a Battleship, it still has its uses as a win condition. Curator's fine. Doesn't stop Battleship from being lethal. And get to untap, and yeah, now we could completely go off if we wanted to with a kicked Consult. Probably find another Regent to destroy everything. Opponent actually had destroy target artifact or enchantment, but still had a counterspell in hand. If I didn't have a counterspell in hand yet, I would want to wait for them to make the first move. Alright, and that'll do it. Awesome. So yeah, this updated version of the Kona combo deck does not mess around. It's incredibly consistent with this many card draw effects to assemble all the combo pieces, and between both Cavern of Souls and Lost in the Maze, it's really difficult to interact with Kona, even if you have some instant speed removal available. So yeah, highly recommend it if you're just looking for a fast combo deck to rank up on the current best of one ladder. May not be the most fun for your opponents, and I don't expect the deck to be particularly well received in the comments either, but that's part of playing best of one Magic if you're just playing to win. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.